I will prepare, and someday my chance will come. Abraham Lincoln. Hey guys, welcome to Creatvism, applying creativity to every aspect of life. I'm Josh the Creative, and this show takes a look at my past successes, mistakes, and all the things that I've learned from my own experience or the experience of others. This show is about creating better habits, changing your mindsets on your job, and nurturing your creativity. So whether you work for yourself or you work for somebody else, this podcast is for you. And for my coffee talk this week, I'll share with you my brief journey in making what I call ratchet coffee. So it all started back in February when I left my parents' house, to be out on my own and get ready to get wed. And so with that, I left access to a French press, which I broke a while before I left, a dual coffee maker system, the one that makes a single serve and a full pot of coffee, and an electric kettle to heat my water. So I had to start all over with the kind of coffee that I had to work with and the tools that I needed to make. So I had to microwave my water in a Tupperware container to get it hot, obviously. I started sticking a filter in a plastic baggie with a slit in it to do a proper pour over. And then I've even gone as far as trying to tie up the coffee grinds in a filter to kind of emulate, replicate a tea brew. I tried all kinds of stuff to get that nice and tasty black gold. And I finally landed on using a funnel and a very tall plastic cup that's see-through, so I can actually, with this setup, I kind of emulated a Chemex pour over. Then more recently, we got a tea kettle as a wedding present, so now I'm all set. I'm not using Tupperware to microwave my water. And man, it was a struggle. So, moving on to the topic for the day, we're talking about the quarantine videographer, the quarantine artist or creative. So as a filmmaker or any creative, you're typically in one of two seasons. The season of learning, studying, absorbing, maybe connecting, and then the season of creating, producing, practicing, failing, and trying again. So you're either creating or you're learning how to create better. And I think it's important to understand which season you're in, because you ought to be making efforts and setting goals for that which those seasons entail. So if you're not creating something, you should be studying up on something about your craft, something you haven't grasped or mastered quite yet. You should be getting connected with groups and people who will inspire and challenge your creativity. If you are creating something, you should be making sure your priorities and goals are set to finish that project. Don't just haphazardly jump into a project without understanding what it's really going to take to finish it. So just take a moment and think about what you could be doing if you're not creating something. Is there something that you could be planning to do? Is there a script that needs writing? Is there an aspect of filmmaking you haven't mastered yet that you could be studying up on? Is there an art project that's been waiting on you? So when I first wrote this and recorded this video on the subject, which would have been about a year ago, we were in a very different time where we could have been in either season. Now it's pretty clear that most of us are in the season of learning, connecting, and studying. So now that we have addressed the season that we're in, what can we be doing to maximize the time that we have? So number one, review your old or recent content and take notes on it, such as what worked, what didn't work, what could you do better, what source of content can you view or listen to that's going to improve what you wanted to do for the project. Questions like this can help assess where your skill set currently is. And number 2, experiment with personal projects. Try a new style of photography or videography. Look up new artists for a change of approach to your artwork. Maybe find an old project that wasn't finished and maybe revamp it with a newer style that you developed since you started. Create a new reel for your content. Find something new that you can add on top of your skill set. A new addition to the services that you provide, and add on to the products that you sell. And number 3, get connected with your creative community. Find people on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Alignable. See what steps they're taking in this season to come out on top when we reach semi-normalcy, when everything kind of gets back going again. Or maybe check to see what they did to build their businesses up to where they are now. As a matter of fact, I've started this particular approach as I'm working to get into real estate videography. So to recap, review your old content, kind of assess where you are with your skill set, take some time to experiment with new projects, with new styles to your projects, and then get connected. Connect with your fellow artists, your fellow videographers, photographers, your local artists to kind of see what they're doing in this time. So thanks for listening. I hope that you've enjoyed this. This week, I want to recommend a YouTube channel by the name of Ryan Snott, and that is SNAADT. He's a videographer that gives tips on like starting a film business, crushing it on social media with your brand, and now he has some videos correlated with this quarantine season. And I think this would be a great addition to some of the stuff that I've touched on in this episode. And then as a life update, Brittany and I bought some paint to start on some creative projects around the house. This is one of those moments where our creative minds get to mingle, maybe sometimes clash. But I think it'll be very healthy for us to discuss our visions, have some push back and forth, and then find some common ground. Brittany has told me that she has to deal with something that most women don't. A man who has opinions on decor and aesthetic. It's mostly a blessing, and it does take some working out between us. But, I don't have a problem with it, but, that's just me. Anyway, thanks again for listening. The song you're currently listening to was produced by yours truly. You can find it on SoundCloud under Lewis Effect. You can find me on Instagram at Josh the Creative. If you want to see any of my older videos, you can search Josh the Creative on YouTube. And if you want any information about my film business, just visit fearlesslionmedia.com. I'll catch y'all next week. Deuces.